Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is SorcererDave, and this is Total War Warhammer 2. The game released in 2017, I think? The sequel to Total War Warhammer 1. Kind of, sort of sequel, anyway. It kind of incorporates all of the stuff from the first game. If you own the first game, it's a very strange arrangement, but anyway. Yeah, I know, I'm playing a game that was released within the last 5 years. Within the last 10 years, actually, heck. Think about it. I'll try not to make a habit of it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a campaign of Total War Warhammer 2. I've been playing this game a lot recently. I've been enjoying it, and I thought, heck, why not record a campaign of it? Because I've had my eye on a particular faction I want to try out in this game for a while, and I'm going to give it a go. If you're completely new to this, Total War Warhammer 2 is a Total War game. It's a hybrid game of a turn-based grand campaign strategy map and real-time battles where you control hundreds and thousands of troops in real time on a battlefield and watch them stab each other, and it's jolly good fun. They've been making the Total War games for a very, very long time now. I've been an on and off again fan of the Total War series. I started with it back with the original Shogun Total War. Kind of lost faith with the Total War series a little bit along the way, to be honest. But this game drew me back in, and I must confess, when the original Total War, Warhammer, came out, I kind of scratched my head a bit, because I was very much of the opinion that I preferred the historical setting of Total War games, because Total War games traditionally were always set in a historical time period in the real world. And then I actually bothered to play this game. I got it relatively cheap on a sale, and I was slightly amazed by how good it actually was. It's a different kind of Total War game to most of the rest of the series. I like it for different reasons to the other Total War games in the series, I must confess. Partially because I really enjoy the Warhammer setting itself anyway. I never actually played the Warhammer tabletop game, Warhammer Fantasy Battles, myself, mostly because it was ludicrously expensive to do so, even more so than Warhammer 40k, which I do videos for on this channel, in case you were unaware. As you can probably tell, make an educated guess based on the choice of main menu background here, we're going to be playing Tomb Kings with this one. I'm going to go for a new campaign, and I'm going to be doing the Vortex Campaign. In this game, you get two options for your campaign. One is the Eye of the Vortex, which is it has a slightly more limited number of factions you can play as, but it's more story-based. You have specific objectives you've got to accomplish, and it's kind of you follow a quest as opposed to just simply conquering every province in the world. Mortal Empire is a slightly more traditional Total War campaign, although it is absolutely massive because it combines the campaign maps from both the first and the second game into one huge one, with a bajillion factions and incredibly long end turn times, unfortunately. The Mortal Empires campaign is fun. However, I'm not going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing the Eye of the Vortex campaign because it is shorter, it is a little bit tighter, and I enjoy the quest-based, sort of story-based aspects of it. So that's what we're going to be doing.
I am Tyrion, heir of Anarion.
That's very nice, Tyrion, but we're not going to be playing as you in this campaign, in this series. As you can see, there are a lot of options, and you don't really so much just pick a faction in this game as you did in previous Total War games. You actually pick a lord. We can achieve much together. Who is in charge of sometimes a particular sub-faction, or you have multiple choices of lord for the same faction. In this particular campaign, we've got the options of the High Elves here, the wonderful, wonderful lizard men, who I love a great deal, but will not be playing as this time, the Dark Elves, the Skaven, and the Tomb Kings here. Oh, and Marcus Wolfhard, but yeah, whatever. The Tomb Kings. We're going to be playing as the Tomb Kings. Hello, Cetra. We're not going to be playing as you, Cetra. Everyone plays as Cetra. His initial challenge is easy. He's kind of the default guy to play as. Cetra the Imperishable, and people love him. He's a very memeable sort of a fella. Cetra does not serve, etc., etc. He's cool, but we're not going to be playing as Cetra. We're not going to be playing as Grand Hierophant Katep of the Exiles of Nehek either. I don't know much about this guy, in truth. Either as he pertains to the game itself or in the lore either. I believe he starts off in the northwestern continent, which is very far away from most of the rest of the Tomb Kings. Interesting, but no.
All vampires shall pay.
That's High Queen Khalida, Snake Lady. She's kind of like zombie Cleopatra, I suppose, in a way. We're not going to be playing as her either. She's an interesting choice. Personally, I'd almost rather play as her sister, Neferata, who unfortunately is not in this game. I hope she's in Total War Warhammer 3, because she's a pretty cool character in this setting. But anyway, we're not going to be playing as you either, Khalida, sorry. We're going to be playing as Arkan the Black, of the followers of Nagash. The initial challenge is rated as hard, and there's a few unique things about these guys. Basically, the followers of Nagash are followers of one of the biggest, baddest villains in the Warhammer setting, which is Nagash, the ancient great necromancer. And Arkan here is essentially his right-hand man, and this is the lord you get to pick for this. Sadly, Nagash is not actually featured in the game, mostly because if Nagash was in the game, he would be comically overpowered. But we'll be playing as Arkan in this campaign in his efforts to essentially resurrect Nagash and bring him back into the world so he can sort of kill everything, essentially. Basically, Arkan the Black's an interesting guy because not only was he an interesting character in the lore and continues to be to this day because he's still around in Age of Sigmar as well, but also all the other Tomb Kings kind of hate Arkan because they all hate Nagash. Unlike the other undead in the game, like the vampire counts, the Tomb Kings were not turned into zombies by choice. They were turned into zombies against their will. With the exception of Arkan here and all his Nagash following pals, these guys are partially responsible for the rest of them turning into horrible shambling corpses, and they're none too happy about it. So, playing as Arkan basically means that pretty much everybody in the known world is going to hate us, which is going to be fun. On the bright side, we are able to use certain vampire count units. We have plus 20 diplomatic relations with vampire counts. Not that there are any in the Vortex campaign, so whatever. Yeah, diplomatic relations minus 50 with the Tomb Kings, because they don't like us at all. Bit more Winds of Magic power reserve, and vampiric corruption does not affect public order. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of that later if you're not familiar with this game at all. I'll try and explain things as I go. And some Lord effects. And we start with a Tomb Scorpion and Crypt Ghouls, which is great. There's other attributes and things here. We could even open this up and read a little bit about Arkan's lore. I'm not going to, but it's there. It's there for you to read if you want to pause the video there and check it out. So, yeah, we're going to be playing on normal difficulty, normal battle difficulty, normal campaign difficulty. I may up it if I see fit during the campaign, admittedly. But I'm not too fussed about being ultra-challenged by the game. I just mostly want to have fun, really. I'm certainly not going to play it on Legendary or very hard, quite frankly. Definitely not Battles on very hard, because Battles on very hard are just downright unfair. So, anyway, this should be interesting. I'm looking forward to playing this for you guys. So let's go down the road here with Arkan.
The sands of time ravage all. Mortals, monuments, even civilizations cannot stand against it. Their remnants lost beneath the dunes, awaiting discovery by the brave or foolish.
What's that? I can hear something. Come here, quiet.
Like time itself, the living are not welcome in Nehekara. For this is the land of the dead, ruled by the Tomb Kings, where only the expired may serve. In his black tower, the Lich King broods. A stalemate between him and Cetra has existed for centuries, while Arkan awaits his real master's call. Eternity was promised, but the Tomb Kings awoke to unlife, no longer beatific sovereigns. Their kingdoms as decayed as their bodies. The glory of Khemri lost, forgotten. A comet, an omen. The Black Pyramid stirs, but does not wake. A vessel of untold power, awaiting a new master. But it remains sealed. The Lich Priests are tasked with finding access. They venture deep into the catacombs, seeking clues. Discovering an obelisk inscribed with hieroglyphs as old as the desert gods. The answer lies in the 9 books of Nagash, the original tomes of undead lore, authored by the Arch-Necromancer. Due to the turbulence of the Vortex, not 9, but only 5 books and his master's staff are needed. Then, the pyramid shall open. Time has seen the books lost, scattered. Other Tomb Kings will seek them, for all desire the Black Pyramid. Begin the search. Raise your warriors. The legions of Khemri march to war.
Master, hear me. The world is in turmoil, unstable with its power, ours to take. Yet others look to prevent me from returning you to this world. The Knights of the Flame voyaged from the north to claim these lands, but they hold too much faith in their lady to protect them. Their errantry war ends here. I shall lay them to rest in the desert. More treasure-hungry living inhabit these realms. They shall not stand in my way as I march to you, my master. Any artifacts stolen by these mortals will be returned to their rightful home within the Black Pyramid. My path is clear, master. None shall stop me finding your books. I already have one in my possession, and the others are bound in your essence, and so call out to me. I claim your pyramid, master. It is yours, and always has been. Let Cetra and the Lesser Kings try and take it. All will perish.
Alright, folks, here we go. Quite a lengthy intro there. Even longer loading screen than I will have had to edit out. I'm not running this game on an SSD, and if you're not running it on an SSD, oh boy, The loading times are quite the thing. Anyway, within the Black Pyramid, a great power lies dormant, waiting to be unlocked by the bearer of the 9 Books of Nagash. Collect the Books of Nagash and win the battle for the Black Pyramid to achieve this campaign's victory conditions. So that, folks, is our goal. And that is what we're going to be doing in this campaign. Trying to find the 9 books and head to the pyramid. The Tomb King's factions can recruit units into their armies without the need to pay for their recruitment or upkeep. Instead, each so on and so forth. We'll get to all that. Mission issued. Collect any of the 9 books of Nagash. Brilliant. We get a reward and canopic jars. We get lots of missions issued to us throughout the campaign.
Dead with their presence, master. They shall be the first victims of my return to Nehekara.
Very good, Arkan. Capture and occupy a settlement belonging to the following faction, the Knights of the Flame. Yeah, the Knights of the Flame are going to be our initial opponents here in this campaign. We should hopefully be able to dispatch them nice and quickly, so we can focus on other stuff.
The dynasties of the Tomb Kings are venerated throughout the ages. Great power may be attained through alignment with your ancestors, my lord.
Yes, Advisor Man. I may be turning you off soon, to be honest, but we'll keep you around for now, if only for the benefit of people watching this who are maybe not very familiar with this game. Researcher dynasty technology, right, very good. Are we all done now? Am I going to be interrupted again? No, okay. Very good, so there's Arkan. There's the Wizard Caliph's Palace, that's our only city at the moment. Then over there is Vulture Mountain, and this blue glowy stuff is telling us that one of the books of Nagash is there. If we go up here, we can see where in the world all the books of Nagash are. That's a world map there. And these are the various books. We've already got one of them, playing as Arkan. He starts off with one of the books. And I don't believe we have to collect all of them. We only need to collect 5 in total. We don't have to collect every single different book of Nagash. And each time you play this campaign, the books are randomized. I think they always start off in the same locations, but which books are in which locations is randomized. So we've started off with the first book of Nagash, which gives us +1 hero capacity, minus 50% hero action cost, and 10% hero action success chance, which I guess is nice. Oh, sorry, I think this is the one that's at Vulture Mountain. It's not the one we start off with. That's the one that's at Vulture Mountain over there. Very good. The one we've got is the 9th book of Nagash. My bad. Enables recruitment of certain vampire count units. Yes, that's the thing that's unique to Arkan's faction. He can recruit vampire count units, which is kind of useful in a way, because Tomb Kings, they're a very weird faction. It's an odd one to start off with. If you've never played this game before, never seen it before, or if you're at least vaguely familiar with Total War games, the Tomb Kings are a really weird faction because they don't control or play in a way that's remotely normal whatsoever. They can recruit as many units as they want within a certain limit for each type. And they don't pay any upkeep costs for them. Normally when you play this game, you recruit your units into your army, and then you pay upkeep for your army each turn. Is your money up there? That's how much we get each turn. Because obviously your army needs to be fed and trained, and you've got to pay for more recruits and so on and so forth. But because we're all a bunch of skeletons, that's not really necessary. Skeletons don't need to eat or rest, or they don't generally need new equipment, that sort of thing. So we don't pay any upkeep on our armies, but we are limited to the number of armies we can actually raise at any given time as a result of that. So we play in a very strange way in that respect, and one of the downsides of the Tomb Kings is that they start off with really, really, really terrible units. They start off very slow. Late game, they get great units. They get all these awesome constructs and things like bone giants and sphinxes and things like that to play around with. But early on, essentially all we have really have access to is just sort of basic skeletons, which are just really, really awful. Just really, really, really awful. Not much better than peasants in some ways, really. But because we're playing as Arkan, and because he has the 9th book of Nagash, we have access to a few extra units, like these crypt ghouls, and these fellbats, and, well, some other stuff that we don't have right now, but we can recruit, like direwolves, for example. Which is nice. Makes the early game a little bit more interesting, at least. So yeah, here we are. Here we are in Nehekara. Nehekara? I don't know how on earth we're going to pronounce that. I believe Cetra and his boys are over here somewhere. We're out here on the western coast here in the land of assassins, according to the map there. And we're basically going to start by
I serve king and patriarch.
taking this hero here, Prince Berekt here, who I am very tempted to change his name to Prince Get Wrecked. He's a Tomb Prince. He is one of many heroes you can get in this game. If you played previous Total War games, you remember things like spies and ninjas and things like that. He's like one of them.
Curse the sun.
Not a big fan of the sun, are you, Arkan? He can do various things on the campaign map, wander around, scout for us, do things, interact with enemy armies and enemy settlements and things. Or he can join the army, where he can train our troops,
Strengthen our legions.
and he will actually fight in battles as a hero, because one of the things that makes this game stand out from other games in the Total War series is we have heroes in this game, like Arkan and like Prince Berekt here, for example. But some of them could be very, very, very powerful on the battlefield indeed, especially when you put them on mounts, like, in our case, things like chariots and things, and war sphinxes and things like that. Well, we're a long way off that, but hey. So, this is going to be a slow campaign. It's going to be a slow-paced campaign. I tend to play Total War games very slowly anyway, so the Tomb Kings in many ways actually complement my playstyle very nicely, because they're a slow-growing faction indeed.
The heat is irrelevant.
That's nice to hear, Arkan. So I hope you don't get bored watching this, basically, is what I'm saying. But we're going to start off by basically just going to kick these guys in the pants. Cedric Le Troubadour here of the Knights of the Flame. These are Bretonians. These guys hail from all the way up there somewhere off the edge of the map. They come from the old world, these guys. They are basically French knights, Knigets, with lots of peasants, essentially. They have lots of highly trained noble knights on horses with lances and things, and lots of cheap throwaway peasants. They're a very typical, sort of like your classic, very generic medieval army, effectively.
As parched as my bones.
Not as interesting as us zombie skeleton fellas, if you ask me. And anyway, we're going to destroy them all, cast them back into the sea, and retake all of this stuff for ourselves. I say retake, I'm not sure it ever belonged to Arkan in the first place, but hey. And he's just going to straight up try and run away.
Drive onwards.
You can do that. You can retreat from a potential battle when it comes up. However, I'm just going to chase him down and fight him anyway. Also, who are you? Those are Beastmen. That's interesting. I don't remember you being there last time I attempted this campaign. Anyway. This is my first proper attempt at playing the Tomb Kings, by the way. I did play a few turns of this just to get my bearings beforehand, and I've tried to do my homework a bit, because in this game, the different factions are so different from one another. It's one of the things that makes this game really good. And sometimes you have to do a little bit of homework to figure out what on earth you're doing. So his army is, well, himself, some men-at-arms, peasant mobs, peasant bowmen, and knights errant versus our lot. I think we'll be just fine, mostly because we've got the Tomb Scorpion, honestly.
For the arch necromancer.
We could auto-resolve that battle and not have to fight it in person, but let's fight it in person, because that's far more fun, if you ask me. But anyway, the different factions in this game are incredibly different from one another. This isn't like playing Shogun 2, where everyone's basically the same, just wearing different coloured pajamas. The factions in Total Warhammer are very, very different from one another, and that's part of what makes this game frickin' great. Really. It's like having several Total War games in one. Unfortunately, the price tag of this game with all its DLC kind of reflects that, but you get what you pay for, at least, with this, even if it does cost you an arm and a leg. I've joked before that you could probably buy an actual Warhammer Fantasy tabletop army for the price of this game with all this DLC, but I don't think that would be completely inaccurate either. But, you know, I still very much enjoy this game, because it's a way to play battles in the Warhammer Fantasy battles today, even though that the tabletop game for it has effectively gone now. It's a way to scratch that tabletop itch, because this game really is the closest you can get to doing a digital version of it at the end of the day. Aside from doing like a tabletop simulator type thing, you know what I mean. And in some ways, I feel it works best. It works even better as a video game like this than it ever did on the tabletop. One of the reasons being, actually, because the scale of the battles in this game are so much bigger than they were on the tabletop. You always kind of imagined it being huge in the tabletop form, but it never really was. Let's see. Let's put our Crypt Ghouls out on the flanks. The Crypt Ghouls are they're quite fast, charming-looking gentlemen, as you can see. They're armed with cudgels. They are better at attacking than defending. Their leadership's pretty poor. Mind you, the leadership of our skeleton spearmen is even worse. Let's put our heroes here in the middle, next to our skeleton spearmen. I'm going to put the Crypt Ghouls out in the flanks so they can flank around a bit, potentially. Put the Skeleton Archers at the back here, because they're going to do a lot of killing for us. The Skeleton Archers are actually not bad. It's the Skeleton Foot Soldiers over here that are generally a bit awful. These guys exist purely to pin the enemy in place while other units do all the damage. That's their entire purpose, effectively. We've also got these Fellbats. There they are. Squeaky squeak. These guys are also kind of rubbish. We mostly use them for chasing down fleeing enemies with, rather than doing anything serious. Although they can sort of harass enemy artillery pieces that are left exposed as well, I suppose. And we've got the Tomb Scorpion. The Tomb Scorpion's great. It's the first construct we get access to. Great bit of kit, this. Oh, yes. This is going to carry a lot of our battles, I think, early on, is the Tomb Scorpion here. Pretty awesome, generally speaking. And that's our army to begin with. Now, this is the Winds of Magic here we're looking at. We can gamble to try and increase the Winds of Magic, but sometimes it can bite you in the arse, so it may occasionally maybe it's best not to. Let's give it a try, though. Why not? No, that's why not, because it's now even lower. The Winds of Magic is essentially the power reserve we use to cast spells with, and that's actually important for us, because Arcan is a spellcaster. Arcan is a wizard. You're a wizard, Arcan. He is indeed. He's a death wizard. And unfortunately, I've now... I shouldn't have done that. Got half the Winds of Magic we would have had normally. Alright. Let's march over in this direction to see what these guys are going to do. There's Cedric at the front there. Hello, Cedric. I'm going to kill you with a Tomb Scorpion very soon. These are his Knights Errant. Probably look quite familiar if you've ever played Medieval 2. So the Bretonnian army in general feels a bit like... it feels a bit like you're playing Medieval 2 Total War, actually. When you play Bretonnia, it's a bit weird. So there we go, we got Peasant Bowman. And there's Cedric at the front. I think he's pretty much just waiting for us to come to him. I will oblige.
This is well.
So how are we going to tackle this then? He's got his men-at-arms at the side there. Peasant mobs, Peasant Bowman, and Knights Errant. Now, his Knights Errant are probably going to charge my ghouls here on the flank. I'm going to want to stop that from happening by running at him with the Spearmen here, because if these skeleton spearmen have one saving grace, is that they're relatively okay against cavalry. Because they've got spears, you know. They are anti-large. Not anti-cavalry so much, but anti-large, because there's more than just cavalry in this game. A historical Total War game, sure, they're just all about fighting the cavalry, your spearmen, but obviously we have monsters in this game. So I'm actually going to have these guys cross over here. You're going to charge in the middle. Tomb Scorpion's going to go straight for Cedric. And my skeletons here, you're going to target those men-at-arms. Oh, no, not the bats. The bats can stay here. My Tomb Prince, you can get up there as well. Arkan, he has access to a couple of spells at the minute. Aspect of the Dread Knight and Spirit Leech. Spirit Leech is basically used against enemy characters to drain their health. There's not much else he can really do at the moment. He'll have access to some really, really good spells later on. Right now, his spells are a bit rubbish. Right, yeah, killing a bunch of men-at-arms. Let's cast this on our Crypt Ghouls here to hopefully stop them from running away. Might be a bit late, though. And, Cedric, what in the Christ are you doing, mate? Leave my archers alone, Cedric. Right. Already losing control of everything, aren't I, really? That's fine. This is fine. Where has he gone? There he is. You Spirit Leech on him again. You think you're so great because you've got a horse to gallop around on, don't you? Right, bats can go chase them. Skeleton Spearmen, try your best to just poke these horsemen. I know you're not really that well equipped, generally speaking, but hey, give it a go. Tomb Scorpion can go annoy those archers. And, let's cast that again. Freaking chasing Cedric around. We need to get you a horse, Arkan. Die, Cedric. Die! Where's my Tomb Scorpion at? Oh, he's over there. He's having a grand old time. Let's have you come back and try and deal with these horses, because you can actually probably catch them, whereas you guys can't. The fell bats can go chase those archers. Enemy units can rally after they start routing, like they have been there. These guys running away, being chased by the ghouls. We're continuing to chase them to ensure that they don't regroup and come back, basically. Actually, have those archers routed? They actually haven't, but they might do very soon. Bretonians don't have very good morale, it must be said. This strange little combat continues to go on. See Spirit Leech on you again. That might kill him, you know. It's just going to constantly drain his health until the spell runs out. Cedric, it's time for you to die, matey. Any minute now. Arkan's not the best in close combat. This guy still isn't dead. Anyway, we also have the Liber Mortis here, which we can use to increase physical resistance and leadership for allies. I completely forgot we had that, I'll be honest. We won the battle anyway. All the enemies have now completely routed, including Cedric, who, sadly, we're just not going to catch unless I can catch him with this spell. I would like him to die, so we don't have to deal with him later. It would be nice. Go on, drop dead. Drop dead. Succumb to the purple magic of doom. Never mind. He's got like no hit points left. I'm amazed. In fact, it actually says 0 hit points. Yet he's still going. Anyway,
Ready.
let's see if I can still get him. Ah, he's too far away. Alright, let's end the battle. Our first battle of the campaign, it was a victory. Not a very glorious victory. It was a close victory, apparently. But that's fine. That's fine. There's always more skeletons where these came from. Although we nearly lost that unit of crypt ghouls there, which would have been a pain. I don't know if we have the building yet that allows us to get more crypt ghouls, so that's something I'll have to check when I go look at our city very soon. As soon as we get out of this loading screen. But anyway, what have they got left? Cedric is... I mean, and you look at it like that, he should be dead. But he clearly wasn't on the battlefield. That unit of archers is gone. That's all we really got rid of permanently. So this lot are probably going to either run away or they might just dissolve because they already retreated from us once. Certainly in the older Total War games, which are the only ones I have the most experience with, in truth, the whole army would just disappear at this point because they retreated from us already once, but I don't know how it works sometimes in the newer games. I like this game. I will confess I've not played it. I say I've not played it that much, actually. I've probably put at least 100 hours into it by now, and yet this game is so big and expansive and has so many features in it that honestly... Even after 100 hours, there's a lot of stuff in it that I barely understand still, in truth. So, hey, it's going to be an education one way or the other. This is why I chose normal difficulty at the end of the day, because I am sure I'm going to make lots of mistakes. Alright, one incredibly long loading screen later. Ooh, we got the Armor of Fortune. And Arcan's leveled up, which is nice. So yeah, it was a close victory. And we took some captives, which we have to now decide what we want to do with. We can... Endless March. Death abounds on the battlefield. The release of its energy is used to invigorate your warriors and send them forth to the fray. We get money. And we increase our campaign movement range, which is really useful. Alternatively, we can harvest their organs to get canopic jars, which are an important resource that we need in this game, playing as the Doom Kings. And we combine souls to replenish our unit's health a little bit. You can see if you look over there, when I hover over this, it shows you how much unit strength you're going to get back when you do that. I'm going to go for the canopic jars in this instance. And we gain the Armor of Fortune. Those who don the Armor of Fortune seem to have the favour of Renald, able to parry the lethal blow with a lucky deflection. Armor plus 6, ward save 8%, physical resistance 8%. Very, very nice. Ironic, considering Renald was not with us when I gambled on the winds of magic in that battle, but okay. And Cedric's dead. He is indeed dead. He didn't look like he was dead, but he's actually dead. Apparently. That was jolly confusing, all things considered. Anyway. This is our city here, which I haven't really looked at in detail until now. These are the buildings it currently has. It's part of a province. You get provinces in this game, and you get cities. Each province is made up of, like, a number of cities, 3 in this case. One is the Wizard Caliph's Palace here, another one is the Sorcerer's Islands over here, and Lashiek over here. We only have this place for now. And we have a free construction slot in which we can build a building, and we have many choices in that regard. What we've currently got is the main sort of capital building, if you like, which is this here, which we can't upgrade until we've got the requisite amount of population. And we've got a Grave Hill, and a Grave Hill allows us to recruit Crypt Ghouls, Direwolves, and Fellbats, which are the sort of vampiric units that Tomb Kings normally don't have access to. So in our new construction slot, we have many choices, as I said. We've got a Bone Shaper, which will allow us to recruit skeleton chariots. We have open graves, which will allow us to recruit skeleton spearmen, skeleton warriors, and skeleton archers. Quicksand swamp, which will allow us to recruit skeleton horsemen and horse archers. And the grave hill, which we've already got. There are other choices too. There's advanced military, which we won't get access to until our city levels up. So this is all unavailable to us now, but this is where we get some of our cool things like the tomb scorpions from, for example. Which means we need to take very good care of that tomb scorpion we've got, because if it dies, we have no way to replace it at present. Skeletal garrison, which improves the walls of the settlement for use in siege defenses. When the enemy attacks our cities, we have to defend them. Gives us some more garrison units as well. And we have infrastructure buildings, such as the Charnel Plaza, which generates us some income. Increases campaign movement range for armies. A mortuary house, which gives us growth and casualty replenishment rate. And combats corruption a bit. And an obelisk, which increases public order and reduces corruption. Public order being very important in this game indeed. You need to pay attention to public order, because this game is kind of a douchebag about public order compared to older Total War games where it was relatively easy to keep public order under control. I find it much harder in this game. For now, we're gonna build open graves so we can get access to skeleton spearmen, warriors, and archers. Because they're sort of our bread and butter a bit, really. They might be rubbish, but we do actually need them. Right now, we can't recruit any new units into this army, because we're in a foreign territory at the moment, and we can't globally recruit unless we're garrisoned or in the Entombed Beneath the Sandstance. We could do that if we had enough movement left this turn, which currently we don't. We're actually going to retreat a tiny, tiny bit. I want to go back to our own territory, replenish our losses, gather up more troops, and only then will we attack Lashiak here. Because Lashiak has a garrison, which you can see here. Foot squires, men-at-arms, spearmen, peasant bowmen. Not a great army, it must be said, but enough to make me want to go back and get more men before we deal with it. We also have research available. This is our research tree. Research is very, very important in this game. It's exceptionally important for the Tomb Kings, however, because it's the only way we are able to unlock the ability to build more armies. So, what I think I'm going to go for is the more of these. Basically, for each of these base technologies here, we can recruit an additional army, and that's a big deal for the Tomb Kings because they don't pay upkeep, so their armies are effectively free, aside from the initial recruitment cost for units. So this is why it limits it very heavily, to balance it out a bit. Now, each time we choose one of these to unlock another army, basically, it reduces our research rate, so it makes all future research even slower. So we need to pick the first one we do carefully. I think Wisdom of the Second Dynasty is the best because it gives us access to, well, there's these, which are not initially very useful to us. Although Skeleton Archers having more ammunition is actually quite useful, as well as reload time reduction and what have you. But it gives us this guy, Rakash of the Second Dynasty, and unlocks a general that we can use. And he gives us +1 public order to all of our provinces, which is really, really good. Plus, increased tax rate, faction-wide as well, which is not bad either. He's a useful fella to have, basically. There's others, too. There's other lords here you can see, which have their own various different bonuses. But this guy's probably the best one to start with, although we're going to have to collect enough canopic jars to be able to unlock him. But yeah, we're going to go for this one to start with. It's going to take 15 turns, mind you, for that to finally finish. And that's going to take a little while. Tomb Kings have a very slow start, as I said. It's actually... Do you know, I'm not going to use... We can use the march stance, so we can force march our guys to make them move a little bit further on the campaign map. The downside of it is, if we get attacked, all of our troops will start off in the battle tired. Don't ask me how skeletons get tired. They just do. And also we can't retreat as well. If an enemy attacks us, we can't retreat either. And you never know what might be lurking beyond the fog of war sometimes, so we're just going to play it safe and leave it as is. You have unassigned skill points, because Arkan here leveled up. Now, he has a huge, big old tree of skills he can unlock here. There's some RPG elements in this game for your characters. It's not like your old Total War games like Rome and Medieval 2, where you have a bunch of randomly generated traits that just sort of randomly happen in a very Crusader Kings 2-esque sort of a way. In this, it's more like an RPG where you specifically pick stuff to unlock. Now, with Arkan, there's a few things that we want to unlock as fast as possible. One of them is Lightning Strike. That's a really useful ability, which allows us to deny the enemy their reinforcements sometimes when we attack them on the campaign map. Also, the Reanimate ability and Resurrect ability there. They're stupid good, and we really want to get those as soon as possible. And also there's his spells, particularly... There's a few good ones in here, but particularly the Purple Son of Xerius. We really, really want that, because that is an incredibly good spell. To start with, I'm going to go for Route Marcher, which will increase our campaign movement range. However, what do I want to go for first, really? Do I go for Reanimate or Lightning Strike first? Yeah, I don't know. Reanimate itself is okay. It gives us, a leadership buff for allies in range. That's fine. It's not the best thing ever. It's mostly about the Resurrect, actually. It's because that's the one that allows you to heal stuff. It replenishes the hit points of combatants, and that's mostly basically for healing your constructs, like your Tomb Scorpion, for example. So you can heal them during the battle to make them last even longer. I think for now, though, I'm probably going to try and get towards Lightning Strike first, which won't take very long.
Yes, his resurrection.
And yeah, you're gonna head back down here, matey, when I get to the next turn, which will be right about now. So now all the other factions get to do their turns, and we see if any of them try to attack us. I don't think they will, but you never know. As you can see, there's a lot of factions, and this is just the Vortex Campaign. This isn't the Mortal Empires one, with loads and loads and loads of factions. I remember the days when Total War games had like 10 factions, and that was kind of it. It's not the case anymore, as you can see.
The monuments you build shall grant you the powers you require to sustain your armies.
Very good.
More facilities in the cities under your dominion to diversify the forces you command.
Jolly good. Excellent. Mission issued. Constructed building permits recruitment of more units. I'm already doing that. I'm one step ahead of you there, game. We're building open graves as we speak. So, Arkan, you can move back into friendly territory there, matey. So we can start replenishing our dudes. And start recruiting some stuff too. And that right now is going to be Skeleton Spearmen mostly? We have a choice of Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Spearmen. The main difference between them seems to be that the Warriors are meat shields, which is ironic considering they're skeletons and have no meat on them whatsoever, but anyway. The Warriors seem to have slightly better attack than defense, and the Spearmen have better defense. And obviously they have spears, so they have a bit of an anti-large bonus. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks watching this, who undoubtedly are more experienced in the game than me, some of you. I don't see a reason really to take Skeleton Warriors over Skeleton Spearmen, because considering all these guys exist to do is just tie up the enemy and be annoying and get in the way, rather than actually do any damage, I feel like the version with the better defense is the better option, really, as cannon fodder goes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to recruit a bunch of Spearmen for now. Okay, everything's good down here. Prince Brecht here. He's not quite leveled up yet. He will do probably after the next battle. Now, we're not going to expand very quickly playing as these guys. In fact, I'm pretty much just going to slap the end turn button again now. We're not going to expand very quickly because, what with our armies being free when we unlock them, we don't really need to expand very much, because most factions, they expand to get more territory and more cities, which generate more money, which allow them to recruit more armies and conquer more of the world. Whereas the Tomb Kings don't really need to do that so much. What we do need to do, though, is we need to try and level up Arcan lots and unlock technologies and things, so that we can basically rush as fast as we can to getting the good units that our faction offers, instead of the trash ones we start with. Let's see, yep, successful. We got some money and some canopic jars. Amass an army, maintain a total of 8 units of the following type: spearmen or warriors. Current total 4, very good. And that'll give us some more money and things.
Great riches for those that know where to look.
Natural resources, yes. Go away, advisor. Yeah, obtain access to the following resource: pottery. Now then, it's probably a province or something around here that's got access to pottery. I don't know where it would be. Is this one? Yeah. No, it's wine. There's one around here somewhere that's got Cofair here's got pottery. There we go. Now, pottery. Well, those resources for us in particular are useful because it allows us to do not rites. We go to the mortuary cult. There are things we can do. We can recruit legions of legend. We can get weapons, we can get armor to equip on our characters, talismans, arcane items, enchant items, so on and so forth. But you need certain resources to actually get these, basically. Like you can see there, this Destroyer of Eternities here, whatever on earth that is, requires 200 canopic jars. It also requires medicinal plants, iron, and carved obsidian. So, is there anything that requires pottery? Is there anything? This thing does, apparently. Enkil's Canopy. Pottery. There you go. Anyway. Game wants us to get pottery, and it'll give us a reward for doing it, which I suppose is nice. Those are all our missions currently. They are piling up, aren't they? Resourceful grip. Mass an army. Research a technology. Capture a settlement, and then the books of Nagash themselves. We'll be getting into all of that very soon, folks, but for now, I'm going to call this episode done, because I genuinely don't know how far I've recorded. My software says I've been going for about 50 minutes, but that's going to be a bit less, I think, because I will have had to cut out a few loading screens and things along the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me. I'll be back soon with some more Followers of Nagash, Tomb Kings, Total War, Warhammer 2 in the very near future. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you'll join me for more. Hope I haven't made an absolute hatchet job of introducing this game, because it's a big old game. When I was thinking about how to do this Let's Play and how to get started on it and how to explain the game, I almost didn't know where to begin, because this game is so massive and weirdly esoteric in a way because of the setting it's set in and what have you. And yeah, well, anyway, I've done a few Total War games on this channel before. I even did a very short little mini-series playing as the Skaven in this very game previously on my channel. You can go find that on there somewhere. It's only a few videos long. It's not a full playthrough. But even so, it's a bit intimidating trying to start a series of this game because you just don't know where to begin. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and go check how long I've actually recorded for. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Toodaloo. Thanks for watching.